Where did the name Stockbridge originate from?
Well, first, let me break it down from the beginning a little bit, just to get y'all in the right direction. But at first, as youngsters, we was called Extremely Hostile, and then it was like, yo, that's not a cool name, because people were spelling it wrong, and it was like extremely hostile, and then extremely, and we was like, yeah, this just, and we're not hostile at all. Like our stage shows was just like live, we just laughing, joking. None of us was hostile. So,
yeah, having a good time.
Yeah. So, and it's like, okay, we need a name change. Coshise went home, I went home. Then probably a day later, maybe less, Coshise called and was like, yo, why don't you just name the group Stockbridge? Yo, I just started cracking up. I started laughing. I was thinking, that's terrible, man. That sucked. That's the wackest thing you ever said, man. So, and then I was like, yo, a few hours later, I was like, yo, that's kind of hot. And ever since then, we've been Stockbridge, and that was a while ago.
So who were all the original members of Stockbridge?
Well, we had, me and Cheese is the original members. But we had other members. We had Residue. We had my man Kelly Blue, moved out to Florida. We had my man Chris Watson. He was down for a second. And as the time went on, people just started coming in and then dropping out. But me and Coach Cheese was always the core members of the crew. So, so we just rolled with two. And we just rock with that's it.
Okay. And was there any other type of other group that you were involved in?
Yeah,
was it just Stockbridge or?
Well, we was a conglomerate. It was Stockbridge. It was Poverty. We had my man Isaac. Like I said, as time goes on, different people bounced in and out of the crew. But originally, as a conglomerate, we was Insomniacs. And
so as one just giant. Okay.
As in one big crew.
Yeah.
We was the Insomniacs, and it was Poverty, who consists of S Love, Najib the Classic. S Love is Rafiq Shaw, Najib the Classic, our Kill, and it was me and Cochise of Stockbridge, and Isaac, Peter Schwartz, and my man Milk D, and we just rocked it, man. We had Buffalo on right here, and it was an Insomniac thing, So released our little CDs, but this was early in the game though. So
what years would you say early?
You gonna call me out on the years, dude?
I mean, I'm just curious.
That's how it goes.
I'm just curious for the viewers' sake.
All right, but man, it was '90s, mid-'90s.
So in that golden era.
Yeah, the samples.
Yeah.
Yeah, to chop the samples up. So yeah, the golden eras. Well put. So
describe your work ethic back when you guys were really going in on it. What would it consist of? Would it be every day? Would it be every other day?
Every day after school, because we was in high school then. So we was at Cochise's house with his mom and dad on Elam Street, and we'd come in from school, go right to it. So from maybe 3:30 to 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
We'd get our music in, everybody be up there, and then when we done, me and Coach Caesar just go downstairs and play Techno Bowl for 2 hours. Get up and do it all again.
So what kind of sparked the idea of you being an MC? What made you want to rap? How did it start?
Well, at first I didn't want to rap. At first I wanted to be a producer. But I didn't know how to use Cochise's equipment, so I started penning. But I started writing before that, but I always wanted to be a beat maker. But man, just putting words together was sweet. I thought it, I heard Rappers Delight and all that stuff, and I was like, yo, that's pretty sweet. And when I heard It's Like That by Run DMC, I was like, yo, that's hot. I want to learn how to do it. So I just buried myself up in my room, started writing. Wasn't no big epiphany moment for me where I started writing. I was always good with words. So once I knew that you can put words to music in the way that people were doing it, I just started doing it. You know? Then I met up with the crew, and they was all doing it. So I was like, well, let's keep going.
So you already knew like Cochise before you started rapping, or you kind of like, how did you meet him and how did that get?
I knew his cousin Chris. We was tight, and me and him always used to write, and I used to make these tapes, cause it wasn't no like drum. Well, it was drum machines, but it wasn't like no where you can loop beats over and over. So I made these loop tapes where you like press it, you play the little beat on the tape, then you pause and then go back and then loop it on the tape again.
Can I just say for the record that this dude was the king of pause tapes. He was like a pause tape king. It was difficult because you had to get it right, and you had to get it right about 100 times to make a full song.
Yeah.
So what would you have to do? Like,
You had to have a double cassette tape.
It'll tell you.
And like, if it was a beat on here you wanted, you would have to, it's kind of crazy. You would have to play it, put this one on record, stop this one, rewind it. No, rewind this one, but at the same place where you left it at on here. You have to play it again and then start it again.
yeah,
So it might be a little space in there, but I had it to the point where it was going.
That's
So
crazy.
it was kind of a technique you had to use. It was
Yeah.
dope though, but I kind of hooked it up. Welcome to Cochise's Corner.
I was thinking we should just call the place the Bridge. Because the bridge is like, remember in Star Trek when they came to the control room, it was called the bridge?
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
where they had all, that's where they all sit in the chairs in the
Yeah.
control.
Yeah, that's right.
So I was thinking call it the bridge, and I was thinking like we could have like a reoccurring show where each show we was sitting there like we was on the bridge.
That's tight, dude.
And you could be like, Stardate 9.5.
Captain's Law.
Captain's Law.
What made you want to be a producer? Like, how did you get like the idea? Like, oh, like I could do this. Like,
I didn't want to. They made me do it.
Yeah.
Like it was like I was probably like 15, and these guys were like, "You are the DJ."
That's true.
You know, no, I mean, aside from that, I did always like it. My parents always had records playing on the record player in the house, and my dad was always like, "Oh, listen to this part, you know. So he automatically.
What's up, Bob?
He told me, you know, pay attention to the music, and my mom would play records and sing along a lot, you know. So and they listened to everything from James Brown to the Beatles, you know. So it was like rock and soul era. So I came from the musical family, but even when I was a kid, I remember being like 11 years old and taking apart the boom box and taking apart the cassettes and trying to put it all back together,
yeah.
you know. And to be honest, what you said about the pause loops, I actually did something like that without really knowing what I was doing when I was like 12, I think. Like made a part come back again with my dad's 8-track cassette machine. I'm serious.
Wow.
I'm serious.
That's harder than what I was doing.
Listen,
dude.
I think there was a song that we recorded off the Mix Sensation on 91.3.
The Mix Sensation.
And it had a break at the middle, and I made it somehow. I messed with the 8-track and made it happen twice. So funny thing is, I was even thinking about this kind of stuff when I was a little kid. So, you know, when they were like, you know, I guess, well, hip hop came out and it impacted everybody. You know, it was around me. You know, it was important. You know, when hip hop started, you saw it everywhere. So there was a lot of excitement around that. Also, new type of music. You know, like so. I got caught up in that excitement too, and I was just, you know. So anyway, then in high school, these guys were like, "Yeah, you're the DJ," and we need some beats, and we need to record them, and we need to do all this, and I had to figure it out.
Yeah, he figured it out too. He handled that shit well.
But the problem, as soon as I figured it out, everybody's like, "Oh, I want to do a song, and I want to do a song, and I want to do a song." And next thing you know, I was in the studio doing sessions before I even knew what that meant.
Yeah, and there was a lot of us, man. It was a lot of us, all hungry dudes just trying to drop their rhymes, and he handled it well, man. real good.
But most of what I learned about sampling and hip hop production was just kind of came from the influence of Spence. I mean, you kind of came from the generation before me because all your siblings are older than you, so you had the knowledge of records,
right,
and what to sample and how to put it together, and you always knew what worked, what didn't, and the flow was incredible. You were like the front man, the soloist, the entertainer. So it was like you were like the energy behind everyone around us, you know, just because you were just the energy.
Thanks,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you were the teacher. You know, you taught us about music and gave us the energy to do it. To be honest, man, you made it fun. So it was like that was the other thing. Like they made it so much fun. You know, we would be in the studio all night laughing until it hurt. You know?
Every day, hours and hours and
but
hours.
But just listening to records all night for hours and hours.
Wow.
It's cool that y'all could have did that, and it was fun in the process of doing it.
Yeah. That's the most important thing.
This is like '87 when like Eric B. and Rakim came out.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 7 hit singles on that album.
Yeah, man.
Like, and a rhyme style that no one had ever heard before. 7 hit songs. It just demolished the world with that album.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And you just listening, like hanging on every word
it was
and every
a tsunami.
beat. Yeah, it was crazy.
It was a tsunami.
to go from like the disco era,
Right.
like Donna Summers and all that stuff, Village People, to
Eric
Eric B. and Rakim, Public
Enemy. Years later.
Yeah,
A few
just like
years
that.
later.
Yeah, it was just like.
And that's where the generation got.
Yep.
The adults were like, "Oh, we're not messing with you, kid."
Yeah, we was caught up in that beginning era, and it molded us to the men we are today. So, all right, well, no more questions.
No.
And when can we expect Monkey Hustle?
Soon, man. Right there, huh?
Advantage, every word touched the unravel. The woolly mammoth flung the planets on occasions. I got my issues, my reason why I scrape the galaxies with the stroke of a pen. Jumping, I'm high, 0 degrees.